And with that note, let me bring Corey Freyer up on stage. Hey, Corey.
Hey, Jen, how you doing?
I should have introduced you. You are with the Consumer Federation of America. Do you run the place, or can you be more specific?
No, I am the director of investor protection, so I'm just one of a dozen policy experts we have.
Oh my God. Before we go to crypto, I am tearing my hair out, Corey, and this guy is in the weeds. But yesterday, you know where I'm going with? The SEC Division of Corporate Finance just ripped away from shareholders, owners of companies, their ability to get proposals voted on at the annual meetings. You saw that, right?
Yeah, this is actually one in a series of attacks on shareholder representation and corporate governance that the Adkins SEC has been really aggressive about. The first one, and what I think will be the most damaging.
You said Atkins. Paul Atkins is the chairman.
Sorry, Paul Atkins, the chair of the SEC.
Yeah.
One of the biggest is, and without even doing a rulemaking, without taking any of the formal processes of analyzing these policy changes, he essentially announced that you're free to include forced arbitration in your corporate governance documents, which means, when shareholders bring suits for executive insider trading or mismanagement, rather than having, public trials where, those terms are resolved out in public view, where the market gets information about what was going on inside the company. Instead, you will have all these small arbitrated settlements that happen in secret that are tilted enormously in favor of the company.
Oh, Corey. So holy shit, I'm teaching corporations this semester. Yesterday, because I talk about proxy voting, I had to go through this proposal and, of course, Carolyn Crenshaw's response. Sorry, guys, in the weeds, but I don't get to talk to Corey a lot. But I wasn't aware, is this going to affect also shareholder derivative suits brought in state court, or is it only like federal claims? The forced arbitration.
That's a great question.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a great question, and it's unclear right now. But
Okay.
Atkins the SEC has certainly been targeting state law here, and essentially threatened Delaware to change its state law. So
okay,
who knows how it shakes out.
I thought so. Okay, so we're going to talk about crypto, but I just want to make sure that on class on Wednesday, I don't have to update that because we just finished that topic, and we're moving on to mergers. So I don't want to have to go back again. Phew, Corey. Okay. What the hell is happening in the crypto world right now?
It's hard to know where to start.
Start wherever you want.
There's a couple of really interesting stories that have come out. I think the one that we should spend the most time on is about the CZ pardon by Donald Trump. That is a wild story that has a lot of history mixed up in FTX and all sorts of things that people have heard about and haven't.
Can I pause for 1 second, guys?
Sure.
1 second. Some of the listeners, and I'm going to not cut you off after this. We saw, and Corey, I don't know this, but we had Eric Lipton on here when the New York Times story first broke. But that doesn't mean everyone listening knows all of that, but a nod to those who do. And I want you to start at the beginning. CZ, go.
Okay, so what is amazing about CZ is he is the closest thing we have to a modern day supervillain. You sort of been talking about Trump and sort of the chaotic nature of his rise to power, and you look at sort of what CZ did, and this is a guy who's like actually playing 3D chess. Don't get me wrong, he is an absolute monster, but his history is just absolutely fascinating, and the way he set himself up to be the global leader on crypto is a really amazing story. So CZ, Changpeng Zhao, starts out in China as the programmer of a high-frequency trading system. And so he gets his start in traditional finance and eventually breaks off in 2017 and starts a crypto exchange called Binance. And this is sort of one of the first and biggest crypto-focused exchanges, sort of like not just Bitcoin, but broader ecosystem. And he's a pioneer in, you may have heard about perpetual futures, tokenizing securities, using traditional money to buy crypto assets. They were sort of like the first on the scene on a lot of these activities. And Binance starts just sort of buying up all of these crypto companies and even some traditional firms and growing itself from 2017 to 2019. And in 2019, FTX gets formed. So Sam Bankman-Fried, famously in jail now for the FTX implosion, starts this company.
And can I stop you there? I promised I wouldn't
Sure.
stop you. Sam Bankman-Fried, before he started FTX, his trading company, a couple years before, he started a hedge fund. But go ahead, because that's going to come into play later.
Yeah. That hedge fund is Alameda Research, which is a crypto company called Alameda Research to hide the fact that it was a crypto company, so he could get the funding to start it. Another fascinating sidebar. But when he starts FTX, but at the same time, Binance starts its first US company called Binance.us. And CZ invests in FTX. He buys a 20% share in FTX. And so sort of through the years, CZ starts to take these actions to really cement his power in the space. In 2020, Malta, where he sort of said he had moved his business to get out of Chinese oversight and Japanese oversight, and then eventually sort of lands in Malta. Malta says, he's not here. We're not regulating this guy, so we're going to start investigating why he's saying that he's in Malta. And so by the middle of 2021, it's sort of, which is when
Can I stop you now to explain
sure.
did Binance? You're saying he has this U.S. company, and you're saying, but Binance and Binance, what were its operations were not in the U.S. because U.S. customers at that time couldn't take U.S. dollars and give them to a U.S. company to buy crypto. So that's why he's trying to say he's not around. But what exactly did Binance, was it like a place you could buy and sell crypto? Is that essentially what it was?
Yeah, you could buy and sell crypto, but they were also in a lot of activities that were deeply regulated in the United States that would have triggered SEC authority.
Okay,
so
like
they
what?
were saying they weren't doing business in the States because if they had been, that would have all been illegal activity. So sort of they're saying we're not in the US, we're going to create this new affiliate, Binance.us, that isn't going to do the stuff that would be illegal in the US. So that's sort of the claim. And then FTX, which at the time was just doing derivatives trading, so also outside the purview of the SEC, they buy this 20% stake in FTX, which had just started.
Okay, got you. So that was 2019 with the launch. Now you're getting to 2021. Okay.
Yeah. And so sort of Malta disowns Binance. And then Forbes later that year reports that Binance.us is actually not just doing business. It is not the only place where Americans can go to do crypto business. In fact, the employees of Binance.us are telling Americans how to get around their geofencing and their rules to prevent illegal trading on Binance. So they're actually using Binance.us to funnel money around the supposedly legitimate company and into this massive Chinese company. And so Forbes reports on this. And that kicks off a set of investigations. The IRS is investigating, DOJ investigates, the SEC starts an investigation. And at that time, sort of Sam Bankman-Fried, because of these investigations, sort of sees an opportunity to point himself out as like the guy following the law and legitimate and sort of taking on the biggest exchange in the world, as a little bit of a power grab. And so because of that break, CZ and Sam Bankman-Fried arranged this deal to separate that investment that had been made. And the buyout, so what FTX does to buy back that 20% stake, is to give CZ a combination of crypto assets, the largest of which is FTT. So this token, FTT, that Sam Bankman-Fried had sort of made out of thin air. And he pays an enormous amount of this FTT to CZ. So now CZ doesn't have a stake in FTX, but outside of FTX, he is the largest holder of the FTT token, which is sort of like the basis of all of FTX's value.
And let me just stop here so people get this. This FTT token, can you talk, like, I know that I know that Bitcoin, because people can trade it for something, actually trades out there, even if we think it's made out of thin air. You could actually have someone trade it, right? But FTT, is this thing. It'd be like, it's like me giving you a sticker. Here's your sticker, Corey. And it wasn't really trading. And you said the biggest holder outside of Sam's world is now CZ at Binance. But this is where I want to, because I only found this out recently. Alameda, the hedge fund, it had something like, before it crashed, 14. This is Sam's own hedge fund. Think of it a fund like a, where he invests in shit, right? And Sam was like the main owner there. There's maybe one other person, I think. So this hedge fund, as I understand it, had like 12 or 14 billion in assets. Like over 6 billion-ish of it was this token. So the value of this was just what they were saying it was, which also can help you understand that this hedge fund was shaky. Okay, now keep going there. So CZ says, I don't want these. I don't want to have my. Sam Bankman-Fried says, I don't want CZ involved in FTX because it makes us look bad and we may get investigated. So, hey, CZ, here's, give me my money. Basically he said, you're not an investor anymore. Take these tokens as if they're just stickers. Take these, here, they're yours. So now CZ or Binance holds these tokens. So there's an outsider now holding them who, if they, this is a trouble. So can you imagine something that Sam Bankman-Fried wants to put a dollar value on that has never been tested in a market, and now he's given it to his competitor, CZ. Yeah. Continue. So this is crazy.
At this point in time, CZ has set up, like, CZ is 10 moves from checkmate right now. He has, nobody sort of realizes this at the time, and especially not Sam Bankman-Fried. But CZ sees sort of where things are going, and he's got a master plan now. And so you might remember 2022, crypto blows up. You got the Super Bowl ads. They're buying out all the stadiums. Forbes is continuing to probe into Binance. And so CZ buys a $200 million stake in Forbes. And Forbes is trying to go through, the media company, Forbes is trying to do this big international merger at the time. And CZ tanks the merger and just like is publicly bashing them, saying they are doing fake stories. And so he's like uses his power here to clamp down on the reporting on his company.
If you can't beat him, buy him.
Exactly. And sort of in the middle of that fight, crypto winter takes off. And so this was a point in the middle of 2022 where sort of one of the big things that happens is this Terra Luna stablecoin, this really poorly designed stablecoin, which is a coin that's supposed to maintain a specific value, had sort of grown throughout the whole market as a way to easily trade crypto. So rather than trading like Bitcoin against ETH when the prices are changing all the time and it's really confusing, you now have this stable coin that sort of makes it easier to do transactions with each other at a stable price. In
the real world, we do things. This is why the US dollar, we have that as our basis for trade. But once you've taken your US dollars and put them into onto FTX, or you've put them onto Ethereum, you put them on somewhere and you've converted them into Bitcoin. What if you want to sell your Bitcoin? What are you going to sell it for? If you don't want to take it out of the system and take it out in cash and you want to convert it to some other coin, you're saying an intermediary kind of step would be to use Terra Luna, because that would be supposedly dollar to dollar. It's almost like a US dollar substitute in theory.
That's right.
In theory, but not in reality.
In theory. Like I said, very poorly designed. And because of that poor design, Terra Luna ends up collapsing. And it is sort of like the foundation on which a whole lot of trading had been built. So the Terra Luna collapse kicks off this collapse of a bunch of other big crypto companies. A firm called Voyager, a firm called Three Arrows Capital, a huge crypto lending firm called BlockFi, and a big sort of crypto bank called Celsius. And this was sort of like, these were sort of like the most promising, biggest crypto companies, and they're all starting to fail, which is terrible for the crypto markets. So much like when JP Morgan stepped in the early 20th century to save the banking industry because he had concentrated all this power in his bank, SBF, Sam Bankman-Fried, announces that he's going to sort of like rescue all these companies and save the crypto system. And he gets the moniker JPEG Morgan for this activity. So like his star has risen to god of the crypto world. He's the only legitimate player, and he's going to be everybody's savior. And CZ is just sort of sitting in the background, quietly watching all this happen. And Sam Bankman-Fried and Alameda and FTX are using, again, this FTT token to make all these investments and buy all these crypto companies and support them. So sort of like,
okay, I'm going to call it monopoly money. It's like monopoly money.
That's right.
So guys, I know there's some people, for those of you who can't fully follow this, after Corey and I come to a moment, I'm going to dumb this down so I can understand it too, and then you will too. I don't mean to say that, but Corey and I have been focused. We've been following this stuff for years, so of course you're not going to fully get this. Some people are. So let me just make this really simple stop right here, which is this: you've got two competitors in the crypto world. You've got messy-haired Sam Bankman-Fried out of California, who first starts a hedge fund so he can invest in the crypto world and make a lot of money because he's really good at math and he can figure out how to do this. Then he goes, well, I'm so good at this. Why don't I let other people do this? I'm going to create an exchange where people can buy and sell crypto. So he sets those two companies up. He's got Alameda, his hedge fund that invests for himself. And then he sets up this exchange. And he's not the only owner of that. He has other investors in that exchange. Now, to be clear, okay, let me keep it simple, right? So Sam thinks he's the greatest guy since sliced bread, and he thinks he has a moment. He sees this guy, CZ, who's much more wealthy than him and much more successful with Binance, someone he's been modeling himself after, right? Binance is like the Coca-Cola and FTX is like the Pepsi. And he thinks, no one can ever take on Coke. I fucking hate Pepsi. But anyway, he thinks he's going to take on CZ because CZ is weak because he's being investigated. Now, let's keep in mind that CZ kind of helped Sam Bankman-Fried, because remember I said FTX is owned by others. He got investors. CZ owns 20% of the company. So these two rivals, they're rivals, right? We've got SBF and CZ, rivals, and then CZ starts to get investigated. And nobody wants the FBI sniffing around. So Sam Bankman-Fried says, listen, I don't want you on the books as an investor. Go away. And, CZ's no fool. He's not going to go away unless he gets paid back. Dude gave big chunks of money. So Sam doesn't have big chunks of money. He doesn't want to give. FTX is skating on thin ice. He says, you know what? Instead of US dollars or instead of Bitcoin or something you'd like, CZ, how about if you take some monopoly money from you that I put the words FTT on? Literally pieces of flipping paper. I mean, it's not paper, but it's the same thing as my pad of paper. If it's like an IOU, okay? But he gives them these things, and this is called FTT. Take it. And
so,
wait, am I right so far?
Sorry,
okay, let me just. Do you
this
guys,
is perfect.
Do you guys get this translation? So we're in that world, but the thing is, the trouble is at this point in time, Sam Bankman-Fried had no choice but to trust CZ. He had no choice, but because CZ is holding this, you would think, well, so what? Big deal. But the problem is Sam's hedge fund was also holding these monopoly money. Now, that's where the status quo was until Corey mentions all these crypto firms are kind of tanking. And Sam doesn't want the crypto world to go away because that's how he makes his money. He's got a lot of crypto investments in his hedge fund. People trade crypto on his exchange. That's his whole reason to be. So he thinks, I'm going to be the JP Morgan. I'm going to bail people out, but fuck if I'm giving people real money or any of my assets. He can't pay with tanking crypto, right? And he can't pay with US dollars because he doesn't fucking have enough. So he again pulls out his sticky pad and starts paying with like a big man with his FTT tokens. Now, let me just keep in mind, if you're CZ, not only are you waiting the wings going, ha, 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 I'm going to get the guy, but you're also, what the fuck? As Sam hands this shit out like it's Halloween candy, CZ's, the value of his is going the fuck down. Okay, did I translate that into human?
It's perfect. That's perfect.
Okay.
And that exactly gets us to like where CZ is about to execute his master plan that he has been setting up for like 18 months now at this point. So Sam Bankman-Fried looks like he's rescued the crypto industry. Things have stabilized a little bit by the beginning of November. And he sees now this opportunity to he thinks he's going to knock out CZ and, point out that this is a Chinese company and CZ's under investigation. They're illegitimate. We should get rid of Binance, and FTX is the place you want to be. It's the only legitimate crypto exchange in the world. So he starts this Twitter fight with CZ and sort of says, I'm sort of lobbying Congress right now. I've got all this DC power. Like, when are you going to show up and lobby for this stuff? Oh, you're not allowed in DC, are you? Right? So he kind of like takes this stab at, you're a Chinese company, you're persona non grata, I'm the king of the world. So 2 days after that, CoinDesk, which is this crypto journalism enterprise, publishes an article that essentially says,
and guys, this is huge. I just want to pause. This is like a fucking nuclear bomb being dropped, this CoinDesk article. Go ahead, continue.
Yeah, and they basically say, look, nothing at FTX is real. The balance sheet is all fake. Everything they're doing right now is actually not using their capital to save the markets. They've essentially stolen a bunch of customer money and like doubled down on all these crypto bets to try and save themselves. So that happens. And
wait, who tipped them off? Any guess?
Probably. So this is the genius thing. Probably CZ is the one who planted this story. And so this story comes out.
Guys, Brandon Woods, it's not Coinbase, it's CoinDesk. Yeah, you're right. The names sound familiar.
Yeah.
No. Corey said the right thing. People were just confused because they sound the same. Okay, go ahead.
So this fight continues to happen, and CZ now this is the time. He knows this is the time, and he announces he's going to dump all of his FTT tokens. This monopoly money that FTX is built on, he's going to dump them into the marketplace and tank the price of FTT. And so that starts a run at FTX, and SBF panics.
And by a run, we mean customers who have their stuff on the platform are freaked out because they think, wait a second, you've been using my Bitcoin or my cash to do stuff. And by the way, that's what brokerage accounts do in the US, but that's why they have insurance and so on. These customers don't trust anything. They want to pull their money. Okay, go ahead.
So they all start yanking their money out of FTX. So FTX is starting to collapse. And Sam Bankman-Fried is sort of like running around saying, no, like the capital's all there. We're just in this like little bit of liquidity crunch. We need just like a bridge loan to get us through the month, and then everything's going to be fine. Don't worry. And CZ sort of comes out of the background and says, like, look, I believe in the crypto markets too. I would hate to see my old friend Sam get hosed in this. So I'm going to be the bigger guy here. I'm going to step in and I'm going to work with Sam to save FTX. Right.
Okay, wait. And at that moment, the customers' accounts were frozen at FTX because they said, oh, we're about to go through this kind of deal, and they're frozen. And these are people who thought they would always have liquidity. They were promised they could take the money out or their Bitcoin out or whatever, and now they're panicking. Okay, so we have CZ announcing, I'm going to save Sam. Then what happens?
So CZ's like, well, I'm going to get him through this liquidity crisis, and then like it'll stabilize the markets. We're all going to be fine. And don't worry, like I'm going to cover the customer funds. Everybody's going to be okay. And the next day, CZ comes out and goes, I looked through the balance sheet. It's a lot worse than we thought it was. We did our due diligence and we can't take the risk of helping FTX at this point. It's just a failed venture. And that is death. That's the kill shot. FTX is done. And Sam Bankman-Fried is toxic. He's running around trying to find other investors, and nobody will touch this stuff. And essentially, over this course of time, CZ, the biggest target of all these investigations, has killed his rival's biggest firm and ultimately gets him sent to jail. So again, he's a monster, but this guy, amazing supervillain. And
let's just be clear. I was at this thing at Fordham the other day. So I was studying this timeline, and there was a moment where this is like, it's like, this was 3 years ago. It's November of 2022. And right around the time when CZ backs out of it, everyone realized it's toast. And this guy, Ryan Salemi, who's like an executive, both at the hedge fund and an executive at FTX, goes and talks to the Bahamian authorities. Because at this point, Sam Bankman-Fried is living in this polycule in luxury, but they don't love luxury, in the Bahamas, and has bought his parents, these law professors, with another story, a bunch of stuff, and they're involved, and they supposedly don't know there's anything wrong going on here. And at that point, in the timeline, Ryan goes and sings to the Bahamian authorities. That's November 9th. 2 days later, FTX files for bankruptcy. And a month later, they take Sam Bankman-Fried into the custody. While this shit is happening, people might remember he's going on TV and just talking. Right? At these conferences, and people are like, he still thinks the day before he was like indicted, he still thought he was going to be testifying before Congress about how to save the crypto world or how great crypto is. Am I wrong? Is that like...
No, he remained absolutely delusional. I mean, he remains delusional about all of this.
So guys, this is only the setup. Remember, the theme of this story is what an evil genius this guy CZ is. Now we're just now at 2022 where he absolutely fucking tanks Sam Bankman-Fried. But remember, today is 2025. So let's talk about how we get to the pardon. Because CZ ain't no idiot, as we know. Go ahead.
So through 23 and 24, all of these investigations start to really see their day in court. So the complaints are coming out, all of the information about Binance and their end running Binance.us and all this illegal stuff they've done, the money laundering, all that comes out. CZ gets convicted of money laundering charges, spends 4 months in prison.
Let me just wait. You say convicted. He pleaded guilty.
Sorry, that's correct. Yeah,
which it matters
it's
because
good to have a real lawyer.
No, because he didn't go to trial. This was the best deal he could get. He pleads guilty. Sorry, goes to prison for how long? Like 4 months or something?
4 months. Yep. And he steps down as the CEO of Binance, and sort of like the story is he severed all ties and he's like stepped away from the crypto world. Just before the 24 election, Trump's family starts setting up these crypto firms. And come to find out, they needed someone to sort of like actually do the technology, because like we're talking about like Eric Trump is not going to code, right, a crypto firm. And so
that is the under fucking statement of the century, but yes.
So secretly in the background, CZ sort of reaches out and like, I can help you set this up, right? And so he kind of sees the writing on the wall with regard to Trump winning this election. He sees that like Trump has seized on the crypto thing as a way to fund himself, both as like this giant grift, but also as this huge political opportunity. So CZ starts to get in really good with Trump by getting like sort of tangled up in these businesses. And as the sort of Trump wins the election, and it becomes really clear that these cases are going to go away. And so the day Trump takes office, we start to see all these cases, the ones against the crypto exchanges that were doing securities fraud in the US, Coinbase, Crypto.com. We start to see all these cases dropped by the SEC. And everybody's sort of thinking like, what's going to happen with Binance? And in the meantime, regardless of all of what we've learned about crypto, Congress passes this stablecoin bill to essentially deregulate the whole industry and give crypto companies
the Genius Act.
The Genius Act. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. It anyway, with the support of a not small number.
I'm writing an academic
Democrats.
paper about this, Corey, and I love this way we talk about it, but I have to talk about it in an academic way. So I'm like living a split brain. But yes, so Congress, with the help of the Democrats, passed this Genius Act, which does what for the Trumps?
So the Trump company has started its own stablecoin. So the Trump company is called World Liberty Financial, and CZ has helped them set up a stablecoin platform. Now, it just like they built it, but nobody's using it. It just kind of exists.
Let me back up. This legislation makes it possible for them to have this. clears the legal and regulatory path. And they're ready to go.
It makes it usable.
Makes it
so like
usable.
now it's, there's like they basically have gutted the regulations that would have applied to other electronic payments, that would have applied to the kind of stuff that you should be chartered as a bank to do. You should be tightly regulated. And they sort of do this huge giveaway to crypto that lets them not follow any of those rules. And it directly benefits this Trump coin from World Liberty Financial.
So you're saying it's just ready to go. It's like a website that no one's using yet. So it's all ready to go. The legislation, I think it passed in I think it was signed into law July 18th, 2025, but don't quote me. Then what happens next?
And so then shortly after that, the World Liberty Financial announces this transaction, right? Where the Trump family crypto company, in partnership with the National Security Advisor of the United Arab Emirates, are going to facilitate an investment in Binance from the UAE. And for inexplicable financial reasons, for no economic reason, the UAE is going to buy $2 billion of this Trump coin to make the investment. So rather than giving Binance cash.
This is crazy because you can buy things in all kinds of currency. They could have used US dollars. They could have used crypto. What is the UAE currency? I don't even know. I don't know. But most people use fiat currency, meaning money backed by governments, to buy things, because we don't buy things with money backed by gold anymore. So if CZ legit, if the United Arab Emirates Sovereign Wealth Fund legit just wanted to be an investor in Binance, they could have used US dollars and done it. But instead, you're saying they took $2 billion US dollars and did what with that?
They gave it to this Trump organization, World Liberty Financial, and World Liberty Financial prints monopoly money and says, here's $2 billion worth of fake money, and gives it to Binance. And now the UAE owns this stake in Binance and has given $2 billion to the president and his family.
And the $2 billion, which is really now still in this World Liberty Financial account, in theory, earns money for the president and his family and this Witkoff guy, because what do they do with the $2 billion US dollars? If Corey and I had $2 billion US dollars and we just invested it in something super safe, we're going to earn, I don't know what treasuries are paying. They're earning money off of that. They're earning, what are they saying? Millions of dollars a year on this. Now, let's keep in mind though, this feels like the same story over and over again now. CZ, who's running Binance. So CZ's company Binance, back in the day, remember how they were holding the FTT tokens? Now they're holding Donald fucking Trump's tokens, supposedly on paper, $2 billion of them. They're pretty much Binance or CZ's companies. Let's call it CZ. CZ is pretty much the only person. I mean, he has the biggest stake in these monopoly Trump money, right? If CZ said, because he's holding on to this right now, if CZ said, I want my money back, it would crash Trump's coin, right? Because Trump wouldn't want to give the money back. His whole business would crash. Who knows where he's got it invested now? It could be illiquid. It could be in Bitcoin. It could be in anything. Trump and Eric, those people aren't so smart. They could be taking this money. It's probably, they don't have to show us the books and records. They may be underwater. The value of Trump coin, because they've invested in some shit, could be under 2 billion. And if what's his name, CZ, wants his money back, he could tank them. That's a really fucking great position to be in. You'll never guess what happens next. Go ahead.
It's that's one great position to be in. But Trump is also in a great position because there's if he decides that I don't really care about this crypto business anymore, he's still got $2 billion. Right? So if he decides I'm not going to run this as a legitimate company, he should say, I'm not going to redeem these tokens. Like, you have fake money. I got $2 billion in cash.
Good luck.
That's your problem.
Sue me. And CZ is so flippin' rich, $2 billion doesn't really matter to him. However, so so that happens. UAE. So what's in it for UAE? So CZ, what's in it for CZ and what's in it for UAE? Start with CZ. Why the fuck would he do this? Why? Because
a couple months later, he gets a pardon from the president.
So even though he served his time, he wants a pardon, so he doesn't have a criminal record, which will facilitate his being. If you have a felony record, you can't be like on a company. There are all these kinds of rules that would make it hard for you to do business in the U.S. His record's wiped away. Now UAE, what's in it for them to do this?
You mentioned Eric Lipton earlier, and Eric Lipton cracks this story that at the same time the Trump family was organizing this transaction, the UAE was negotiating over the US, sort of making an exception in its export ban on AI chips, these powerful chips you need to get ahead in the artificial intelligence world that we had clamped down on because of national security. At the same time, the official government is organizing a deal with the UAE to make an exception and sell them these chips. So like, it could not be clearer that the UAE bribed the president with $2 billion to get access to AI chips, skirting our national security concerns.
I mean, every time I hear this story, I am more and more amazed. And the thing is, for those listening, I think you're hearing it and you're getting it. This is really, we've been talking, Corey and I chit-chatting about this for, I don't know, half hour, right? Ish. And members of Congress who passed the Genius Act, I don't think they understand it to this level. They know even less than you guys listening. And even though, you know, Corey's really gregarious and super smart and knows these details, and I can like translate anything anyone tells me into a cartoon, not everybody cares to do that or has that capacity. So we have legislatures in the Senate, because the House, they didn't even need Dem votes, but I think they got them, who have no idea about the game that's being played. One other thing I want to say, Corey, which I don't know if you know, but I found this out not through my Fordham event, but through someone a source I cannot name. I found out that, you know how these law professors are. His father, Sam Bankman-Fried's father, is a tax law professor, and his mother does like ethics or something. I don't know. I'm not going to say anything bad about them. You can read anything you want and make your own opinions about their involvement. But apparently, before, at one point, I think this might have been when Sam Bankman-Fried was on House or House, or it could have been years before. I don't know. Some other law professors were in town having dinner with the Bankman-Frieds. And apparently, Sam invited, so this is a couple, both law invited the male, the husband of this friend of my friend's, to play chess with him. And so this guy, I'll call him Guy, this guy was like, oh shit, like if I beat Sam at chess, because this guy's actually a good chess player, then that's really bad. But if I lose, that makes me look bad. And they're trying to figure it out. So as he's playing, the guy's playing chess, over Sam's head, his mother or his father were saying, let Sam win. Let Sam win. And this is a story from someone let me just tell you, I can't tell you the credentials of this person or who anyone else is. I just heard this story last week. So he is not, when you said he doesn't know how to play chess, it's not just the abstraction.
Literally doesn't know how to play chess.
And I am not a chess player. My kids are. It's just not, I like to play chess in the world of people's personalities. You know what I mean? But I'm not a actual chess player in that way. Anyway, I just wanted to share that with you, Corey, because that kind of blew my mind.
It tracks so much with this story of VCs made huge investments in Sam Bankman-Fried's companies. Venture capitalists, sort of like big, dumb Silicon Valley money, dumped tons into Sam Bankman-Fried's ventures. And they sort of told this story where, like, when we're talking to Sam in our video chats and stuff, he's playing video games and not really paying attention. That's how smart he is.
Boom.
And like,
yes.
No, that shouldn't be the takeaway. It should have been really obvious that that's not a great place to invest your money. So yeah, it really tracks. It really tracks with the history. So it's a very believable story.
It's like the Elizabeth Holmes thing. I mean, it's everyone wants to believe in this sort of special genius. They want their unicorn, or they want plausible deniability. And either way, they don't care. And it's interesting, it takes a village. I don't think that, people that you think are the face of a successful company, we all know it's all the pieces. And this has been utterly, utterly fascinating and so much fun. I want to see in the chat before we leave, do we have, someone says, I can't wait for the crypto crash. Well, anyone have any, Brandon Wood says, yeah, Elon Musk is also not a genius. Amazing with Elon Musk is that I think his pay package was held up recently, which is, I've got to read that decision. But any questions you guys have? AJ is saying, thank you, Jen and Corey. Any questions you all have for Corey before he and I say adieu? I have a question for you, Corey, while I wait. I've been meaning to connect with you about a conference next fall, but I'll check with you. My law students are having, and I'm thinking it'd be really fun to have you tell this story without me interrupting. Or maybe we could do like a fireside chat, because that could be fun.
You do great interruptions. I need the interruptions.
Well, no, I mean, people it's, I know it's rude, because I teach, I can anticipate what is going to confuse people. I don't know what that is about, but it's just questions. Are there any? Nobody. No. Okay, I think we're good. Violet Stormer says, do you worry about the AI bubble, Corey?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think the AI bubble is connected to a whole bunch of other like really big problems we've got going on right now. One of that is the growth of private credit. And so there's this perception that all these AI companies are building out these data centers, sort of all these huge processing centers that, generate all of this computer power they need to run their very inefficient programs. And the story is that they're doing that all out of all this capital and money they have. In fact, they're doing that by borrowing a ton of money. So there's this huge amount of leverage built up, not just in sort of like the overvalued stock and securities of the AI companies that are sort of what's the only thing sort of holding the stock market value up right now. But that is all also related to this private credit industry that, people have been worried about the collapse of that industry for a decade now.
So let's back up. When you say, I always think about the risk, like it's a hot potato, right? So if you are telling me there's a lot of borrowed money that is funding these AI companies, what happens when a company cannot pay back that borrowed money? What happens to the lender? And the lender, obviously, lenders ain't dumb. That hot potato, they have somehow passed on risk to others. Do we have any idea where that risk is going to land at this point? Remember the financial crisis, you all might remember from 2008, a lot of the risk in these non-prime and subprime mortgage securitizations landed with the people who were these credit derivative, doesn't matter. There was a place that it landed. But do we have an idea where this risk is lying, like who these lenders are?
You're exactly right to point to 2008. We really don't know. The private credit market happens sort of in the background. We haven't regulated it. It's a huge problem. We've known this for years. World financial regulators have been pointing at this. It's a known problem, but we don't know how far it extends. And you mentioned sort of like the problem with debt. And sort of the issue with debt is when you borrow money to fund something, everybody up the chain starts to owe someone else money. And as soon as one person can't pay back, there's a hole in the balance sheet of the next person in the chain. And then they demand their money from the person down the chain, and it all collapses. And that's essentially what leverage is. It's all this borrowed money that is sort of created, much like fake FTT tokens to fund these enterprises. And when those investments don't work out, everybody down the line fails. And so that's what we're worried about right now.
Dominoes. Right? Oh boy.
Yeah.
Fun. I love all of this. I only say fun because, again, Something, I don't know, Corey, Jesse Eisinger came to, before he wrote the book, Chicken Shit Club, he came to, when I was teaching at Vermont Law School, to talk about something. And I think a student asked him, because he does investigative journalism around finance. And I think now he's one of the editors over at ProPublica, which does great work, as you know. And Jesse, I think one student asked him, like, do you think, like, does your work, like, give you hope that you uncover this stuff and it's going to get better? And he's like, no, but I do it anyway. And I kind of feel like, some people I sometimes go to games. Some people like to play golf on the weekends. Some other people have a hockey league. Others like to binge television shows. I'm into this. I don't have hope that we're not going to make the same mistakes, but I feel like if you understand this stuff, there's a value in sharing the truth. You actually are trying to help consumers. Do you think in the long run or in the medium run, we can get back on track with these efforts to help consumers and investors?
I'm a little bit of a doomer on this. I think we're sort of like, we've set ourselves up for a financial crisis. In addition to all the crazy stuff Trump is doing, the same kind of deregulation that happens all the time is sort of quietly happening, but you don't hear about it because everything else is so loud. And so we've got these two things that are going to collide at some point. The hopeful thing here is, one, we may be able to minimize the impact of that crisis by, one of the biggest important things is that Congress not pass any more crypto bills. But two, this is sort of the opportunity we missed in 2008 to really reshape the economy and have another New Deal. Like what got us here and what even got us to Trump was a failure to take that moment and actually help real people, not just bail out the banks. And this time around, if we have that kind of crash and the industry needs the government, it's going to be a real opportunity to do something about the financial industry that right now just really doesn't serve regular Americans. So that's the silver lining I try to put on this.
I love it. And we know that the same law firms that helped draft the Dodd-Frank Act, except the good stuff like the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, they already have their drafts ready. I mean, I'm not acting paranoid, but this stuff has been drafted. We also need to be creating summits and doing the same damn thing. Okay, that's a plan. Thank you so much, Corey. Thank you, everyone, for watching. I hope that you've learned a lot more and are a lot angrier. And when the crash happens, Corey will come back. We won't say I told you so, because there's no point in that, but we'll explain what the hell is going on. Okay, thank you so much. And
thank you so much.
I'm slow on my walk-off music here. I'm sorry. Here we go.
Hello, prison mates. It's the Gen Taub show where welcome everyone. Let's learn about what is happening in politics yesterday and today. There is hope, and we are together in this democracy we work for. And again, welcome to the Gen Taub show.